Alright, it's Brent with TopVelocity.net. We're going to do a pitching analysis here. Robert, going to pair him up with Asao, one of my favorite Japanese pitchers. Take Robert here into his leg lift. Take Asao here into his leg lift. It's in slow motion, so kind of similar lifts. Robert does a good job coming right out of his lift. The little aggressive move forward. Not too balanced up over the drive leg. Same as Asao here. He's pushing the hip a little bit harder. Not an issue. So, but looks good. Take Robert into his load. You see, as his lift leg descends, he's picking up some speed. Some linear speed. Don't see the force vector moving. He's moving to some leg extension to kind of hold the leg from taking off, continuing to lead the way. Really doesn't start movement till here. So, if we go back and you look at that leg lift where he comes up and then he comes back down, not much momentum there. Kind of just a little flexion basically through the drive leg, little squat. But then he starts to move here. So I would just kind of say pretty much this is where you get started. So this would be kind of your first move. I mean, not really. Ultimately, it just is when you really started to take and accelerate towards the target. Momentum needs to accelerate the whole way. So if you watch up into your leg lift, coming out of your leg lift, that would be your first move right there when you start moving forward. And there's not a lot of movement. It's just your lift leg coming down, and then this is where you go. And then we can tell that too by the force vector. The ankle to the knee, that knee doesn't start moving until here. So this is technically when you start moving forward. So if you watch high velocity pitchers, you can see even though Asao is, as his lift leg is coming down, he is getting flexion, but at the same time he's also building his linear speed. We can see because that force vector, that knee is moving forward as the lift leg is descending. That's what we don't see with you. You see your lift leg is descending, but your back knee is not going anywhere. I would like to see that. This would ultimately help you start even with a lot more speed, and is going to just help you at the end. I think you do really well getting to front foot strike, but this added speed right here would help you a lot. So just trying to make sure that as your lift leg is coming down, your force vector, your back knee is following your front hip. So that means you're moving forward and moving down at the same rate. So you can see when Asao, he continues to get linear off the drive leg, and when the lift leg breaks his front foot, he's still completely closed and in a good linear position to drive. Now let's see if Robert gets there. So this is when Robert starts to go out. So this is when his lift leg knee breaks his front hip, would be right here. He gets not as linear as Asao, but close. Not bad for your age. Actually, it's exceptional for your age, to tell you the truth. But if you look at Asao's force vector, you can see definitely a lot more linear. So ultimately, you would be in this position if you would have continued to move forward as you were moving down, coming out of your leg lift like we talked about. So that would be a good adjustment for you, because ultimately it would have you get more linear into a similar position here as Asao. And I picked Asao to go with you, this Japanese pitcher. He's about 5'7", 5'6", 145 pounds. Little guy, throws upper 90s. So you can really see how you're doing really well, specifically at your age, to move like him. But you can definitely learn from him, specifically on that from lift to load move. So yeah, this is a good analysis for you. Okay, so let's take you into triple extension. So you can see you start to move into knee extension here as you open in your front foot, which is good. And then you don't really roll inside the foot. You do push off. You stay in little dorsiflexion. You push off the toes and the front foot. You land, great stride, almost a full triple extension. See the hips open right there. We'll say you're almost open there. Let's take a Sal through the same movement. So he's building his power. You see that knee extension, then the ankle kick in the front foot, and then he's stabilizing those hips open. So we got more hip shoulder separation, and you can see it too. A Sal here, probably because he's more linear. His leg drive, his triple extension, definitely has a lot more power into it. We see a lot more. He's covering a lot more distance than you, Robert. And we can just see kind of that burst of speed coming in right before front foot strike. And if we watch you through those same components, as you open, we don't see as much of a burst out of you. The point is the fact that you're moving this way at such a young age is really exceptional, Robert. You're set up to be really, 90s, definitely a 90s guy. Just the fact that you could be a 90s guy probably when you're 18, 19 should be exciting for you. Now, to get there, you just have to be able to do what a Sal's doing here, meaning get this much kind of hip shoulder separation. Because if we're looking at your hip shoulder separation right here, for your age, it's unbelievable. But if we want to compare you to an elite, we do need to get a lot more from you. So you can see he's more. So look at that. That's more of the separation. It's a rough estimate of separation. So you can see here that's probably twice as much. So you're more like, which is typical, low velocity guys, you're more like 20 degrees. He's more like, 60 degrees, 40 to 60 degrees. But you could be 20 to 25 degrees. The more, the average major league pitcher is 40 to 60 degrees of separation. They're usually in the 90 mile an hour category. That's a good place, as far as separation, that's where you want to get to, 40 to 60 degrees. That's pretty much getting the hips open and shoulders closed. And you can see, for your age, you're amazing. It's amazing, but you still need to double that, and that's just going to come through that burst. If you had more of a, I call it the 3x burst. If you had more of an explosive drive through that triple extension in the front foot, your hips would open harder and faster, create more separation. You just didn't. You were lined up well, just not as explosive. So when you land, you're just not moving. You don't really see that acceleration coming through the lower half as explosively as the Japanese pitcher. But you just do. You're really doing everything right, just without enough power. Ultimately, you're at that age where a strength and conditioning program that's really focused around this, lower half explosive, force production is going to be critical for you. So I mean, if you got into a 3x pitching velocity program, you did our strength and conditioning program, just that alone, by next year could probably get you close to 90. You'd probably be definitely upper 80s. I did that. We did that with Mitchell Seawald. He was 16 when he came in the program. He was low 80s, and in 1 year, or really actually in a 4-month summer, really hit, crushing the strength and conditioning program. With me, I stayed on him, went all the way up to 94, and that was at 17 years old. So, next year when you're 17, I think you're prime time to do that. So I would love to see you get into a strength and conditioning program like 3x pitch velocity program that's going to help you enhance that power production. So then that 3x before front foot strike is going to be as explosive as a Sal here. Boom. And then you're going to create this kind of hip shoulder separation, which is 80% of your velocity potential. And you can see you could double it and get where he is. You're going to be in the high velocity category, because then your shoulder rotation is going to accelerate your hip rotation speeds, because that torsion in your body acts as a force multiplier. As long as you stay stable on the front leg, you're going to get that optimal external rotation, which is good forward trunk tilt. You can see your external rotation. See, your external rotation is perfect, meaning it's still behind your head. It's early. You just don't get as much forward trunk tilt. Your forward trunk tilt is more like this, and your external rotation is there. His forward trunk tilt is more like this, and his external rotation is there. So he's even more coiled here. Like I talk about, feet in the beginning, inches at the end. You know, your hip shoulder separation could, you know, can be a feet apart, but by the time you go into forward trunk to external rotation, you're looking at, you know, we're looking at inches. So but that's just if you can convert that power into torsion and hip shoulder separation, then when those shoulders rotate, you're going to get this kind of external rotation, as long as you stay stable. And now look how stable he's moving, or how much extension he's going into. You don't really do much extension. You can also see too, when your hips get open here, we still got some lead. Your knee, you got some lead knee flexion. So you might not even be where. If you could learn to get more stabilization here and prevent this lead knee flexion, you'd probably jump up 2-3 miles an hour there. So I think your key things is learning how to get it more explosive in the front foot, learning how to stabilize harder at front foot, so we can then convert that all into some optimal torque. And really that's going to be just that strength conditioning program, because you move so well. You got the motor coordination. It's just trying to get your lower half strong enough, quick enough, explosive enough to put you in that elite high velocity category. So yeah, and you can see you're even pushing your elbow out in front of your face just because it's not moving as quickly here as the sow. It's kind of the same, not too bad, not too far away. But ultimately those key components that we talked about, where we really need to see you matching up more like these elite pitchers. And I really believe the strength and conditioning program, specifically in the 3D Speech and Velocity program, is going to be the key to getting you there by next year. I would love to see you do that. You look like an exceptional athlete for your age, and you could really accelerate that through just hard work right now. So if you have any questions on this, Robert, please let me know. Sorry, appreciate you being patient on getting this to you, and I look forward to your progress, man.